everyone. I'd like to welcome you to Trademarkability's Insider. My name is Stacy Calamaris, and I'm a trademark attorney and the lead instructor at Trademarkabilities. Trademarkabilities is a comprehensive online training academy for lawyers interested in learning the practical aspects of practicing trademark law at the USPTO and becoming confident trademark practitioners. Through our signature masterclass, we provide the practical and strategic learning necessary to set up a trademark practice so that lawyers can confidently and effectively represent clients before the USPTO. Our templates and other resources have been described by our attorneys as a trademark practice in a box. I want to welcome you, Mario, to Trademarkability's Insider.
Thank you, Stacy. Good to be here.
Through this series, it is my intention to interview people like you who have insider knowledge that helps make the life of a trademark practitioner a bit easier. With that, I'd like to turn it over to you to please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm an attorney. Law firm is Esco PC out here in Burbank, California. And my law firm is very niche down. So before I tell you what it is, let me just tell you a little bit of background. So I started selling on Amazon in my second or third year of law school, built out 2 brands, sold those, and then at that point I had graduated and passed the bar. So I decided to get into IP/Amazon law. Now, what does that mean? So we represent Amazon sellers. So if there's ever any issues that Amazon sellers have, then they'll come to us. Now, integrated in that is IP law. So if they have any IP issues, whether it's registering or enforcing them, then we help them with that.
It's so interesting. I know you and I had a chance to meet last year, and your path in some ways is similar to mine, where you actually sort of walked the walk of now what you do now as an attorney. And I love that you're so incredibly focused on the Amazon environment, because we've learned, especially through this past year, Mario, how incredibly important an e-commerce platform is to any business owner. And can you help to explain why, for anyone selling their wares on Amazon, why it's so important to have a trademark registration and what the Amazon brand registry is?
Sure, great question. So with respect to any brand, I think everyone on here should be able to understand the value of a trademark. But if we're talking about the Amazon space, then a trademark will help you get into Amazon brand registry. Now, this is a special program within Amazon for brands, right? And the benefits that you get, we could put into 3 categories. One of them is control and ownership over your products and your brand, your product listings. Second thing would be reporting. So you get access to reporting, such as keywords, search terms, and all that you wouldn't without this program. And the third one would be marketing, so sales. One of the benefits that you'll get is you get to add think of it as a website within Amazon of your own brand. So you can have a multi-page website within Amazon. In addition to that, if you've got a product listing, you could have a video demonstrating or promoting that product inside the product listing, and just additional images that you can display on your product description page to help promote and show off your product, right? So it's really 3 different categories that we talked about: ownership and control over the brand listing and your brand, reporting or access to reports, and the third one would be marketing or sales improvement.
Okay, great. So are business owners required to have an issued trademark registration in order to be a part of the Amazon brand registry? Or I understand there's been a change now where it's possible to apply or somehow get, maybe I'm not using the right words, to get into the brand registry once an application has been filed.
Correct. So right now, you can get into Amazon brand registry with only a serial number. So it doesn't have to be registered. You don't need a registration number. And all of that changed initially when Brand Registry came out. Well, this is Brand Registry 2.0. Brand Registry 1.0 was several years ago, and I won't get into that. But when Brand Registry 2.0 came out, you needed a registered trademark. And then there were complaints from Amazon sellers and brands saying, we need something quicker. So then Amazon came out with the IP Accelerator program, which is maybe about a dozen or so law firms where you could go through them, sellers can go through them, and once they file the application and have a serial number, they would get quote unquote early enrollments into Amazon Brand Registry. Now that's changed as of maybe 3 months ago or so. So any trademark attorney can help these sellers to enroll into Amazon Brand Registry with only a serial number. Now, if anything were to happen to that trademark application where it's abandoned or somehow dead, then Amazon would revoke that. But it's such an early program, it's such a new program that we haven't seen any of that, at least with our clients.
Okay, and so that's what I was going to ask you, because I remember probably about a year or so ago, people that I knew, clients or prospective clients that I knew, would reach out to me and say, well, I really want to use you, but I really need to get on Amazon, so I'm going to have to go with this firm that's on the, a part of the accelerator. I was like, well, that just seems really unfair. And I felt like I was at an unfair disadvantage. So I'm really glad that you clarified that the playing field is leveled now. Any of us can help any of our clients who really wish to be a part of the brand registry. And is it a relatively simple process to submit that serial number to Amazon to help our client get onto the brand registry, or is it simple enough for the client to do on their own, or what role do we take in that process?
Sure. So there is a role for us. So there is some work we do have to do, but it's fairly simple. So once we have the trademark filed and we have a serial number, obviously we'll go ahead and provide that to our client / Amazon seller. They'll go on to Amazon Brand Registry's website, sign in, and then fill out a short application, maybe 5-10 minutes. In there, they'll go ahead and provide the serial number. Okay. So once that's done, Amazon will send an email to the attorney of record with a verification code and say, please verify or confirm that this client and this trademark are yours or you represent them, and also share it with the true trademark owner. So what we'll usually do is respond to that email and just copy our client and say, here's a verification code. We verify we've shared it with our client.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. So that's sort of a way to prevent some sort of fraud, and I'm sure on Amazon's part as well.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about IP infringement. I presume an Amazon seller's account can be suspended for IP infringement. Is there like a 3 strikes you're out type of rule, or how does that work?
Unfortunately, we don't know if there's 3 strikes rule or what rule they have, because it's just an algorithm. We've seen clients' accounts that had, I think, around 800 violations, IP infringement violations, and their account was safe. It's just those products, those ASINs, were suspended. But we've also seen clients where they get 1 complaint and the account's suspended.
Wow.
So yeah, we know that there's several factors. We don't know what all the factors are, but we know that there isn't one determining factor. Just like with most things with Amazon, everything is sort of hidden behind a wall or two, and you've got some AI or algorithm looking at all that information. But
okay, so let's take a step back. So if a seller receives a notice that something in their account has been flagged for IP infringement, what should they do? They should contact their attorney, I presume, first and foremost. They shouldn't is your advice that they shouldn't try to handle that on their own, or?
Yeah, especially with IP issues. I mean, just talk to an attorney. what Amazon has done is they do have a resolution path, right? But that's not always successful because especially when we're talking about IP infringement or alleged IP infringement, on Amazon side, you don't have IP attorneys looking at these appeals, right? You have some teams, I think there's two teams out of India that are looking at this, but they're not familiar or they're not experts in IP law. So you can't make any complicated or sophisticated legal arguments. It has to be very simple, very concise. And what we suggest is it needs to fit on a page, most, maybe a page and a half. So those are called POAs or plan of action. And a plan of action really contains three things. One is the root cause, so what caused this? The second one is immediate measures you're going to take to remedy the situation. The third one is sort of long-term solutions we're going to take. It has to have those three categories or those three issues addressed, and that's what a POA is looking at. As I said, those aren't always successful, so there are other ways to escalate it, and the last step would be arbitration. But before you get to arbitration, there's still a lot you can do.
Okay. So that was going to be my follow-up question. If that plan of action, that POA, is not successful, is there some sort of appeal process? So you're talking about an escalation process. Is there something you can do to help that seller if their page or account has somehow been shut down? Is that usually what happens though, Mario? Is their account shut down if there has been a reported infringement?
So like I said, sometimes it can just happen with one warning where, hey, this product over here is infringing a trademark, so the entire account is affected. Amazon has gotten better about that. Before they used to be not as generous,
Okay.
where now they try to isolate the issue and understand that this is only related to this one product listing. But if you get enough violations or complaints across several of your product categories or your product pages, that can cause the account to be suspended, Stacey.
Okay.
But like I said, I mean, there's an appeal for that too, right?
Okay. Should we, if people are representing Amazon sellers as a matter of course, so understanding, of course, that the algorithm is, a little bit inconsistent, as a matter of course, should a plan of action be submitted for each violation, or only in the event that the account is shut down?
Yeah, for each suspension, whether it's the product level or the account level, Amazon still requires a plan of action. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So obviously, like any business, right? The more successful you tend to become, they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So that tends to make you more susceptible to copycats. Copycats is a very nice way of saying counterfeiters or knockoffs. So what happens if an Amazon seller falls prey to a counterfeiter? What if if someone just is spoofing them, knocking them off? What recourse do they have? What can we do as IP counsel to help that seller?
Sure. So the first thing that you should do, and this is the preventive measure, it goes back to Amazon Brand Registry. If you have Amazon Brand Registry, there are forms within there where you can notify Amazon that this person is infringing on your trademark or your copyright. Now, with respect to the IP, because I want to discuss not just the trademark side, but all of the IP. So Amazon has forms where you can submit for trademark registrations, copyright, and patents. Now, with copyrights, you don't need a federally registered copyright to file a complaint on Amazon. But with trademarks, you do need a registration number, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, when we talk about patents, design patents, you can also use the same form. But for utility patents, they have sort of created their own court system. Because I always look at Amazon as its own sovereign nation, right? So what they've done is they've created their own utility patent court system. It's called the Amazon Neutral Evaluation Program or process, whatever you want to call it. But Amazon will go ahead and bring in a uninterested, unbiased patent attorney, and the person holding the patent, the utility patent, will apply to this program, file the complaint, and the other side gets to respond. In the middle, we have this patent attorney that'll play judge in this in Amazon's little court system and decide who prevails and who loses. Right? Each person puts up a $4,000 bond. The winning side gets their money back. Now, if you're the product owner, so the seller on Amazon, and you lose, then your listing will also be taken down. That product listing, not the account, but the product listing will be taken down. Now, this decision can always be appealed in court, in real court, but this is something that Amazon has done. I honestly would like to see them apply this same policy, this same principle for trademarks and copyrights.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. What else is going on at Amazon? Are there any other updates or things that have changed that we need to know about if we're representing sellers there?
So for sellers, something that did happen that may relate to sellers soon. About a month ago, Amazon went ahead and updated their terms of service, where now Amazon customers, not sellers, but Amazon customers don't have to or aren't required to take Amazon to arbitration, but now can sue them in Seattle, in King County Court, or King County in Seattle, Washington. So this, I think, changes the landscape, especially if it applies or if it changes over to the seller side too. For now, I mean, ever since I can remember, which is about 8 years now, Amazon sellers have always been required to go to arbitration. Now, some of the disadvantages of arbitration is it's not public. Everything that happens is strictly confidential. So Amazon sellers and the community itself, they're not aware and they're not privy to what actions go into arbitration and what the results are, right? So imagine if Amazon sellers and the community itself realize that, you know what, another seller had inventory destroyed by Amazon or lost by Amazon, and they were able to take Amazon to court and they got reimbursed. They actually got reimbursed. That would, I think, just make the community aware about what their rights are. Because I think, if we're being honest, me and the people in this industry, we need to do a better job of educating the seller community about what their rights are and what is possible. So I'm hoping that the arbitration clause is removed soon for sellers too. And we're hoping that that can happen within the next 6 months.
That's so interesting. How do you stay on top of everything that's going on there? I mean, I see a lot of posts on forums and in groups, and it seems like people are always looking for ways to contact people at Amazon. To your point, right? It's perhaps not the most educated of people sort of deciding these issues of IP infringement. And so perhaps, you know, they've submitted a plan of action and they didn't like the outcome and they actually want to speak with a member of the legal team or an attorney at Amazon. And I just wonder, it's so interesting what you do. How do you stay up to date? Is there some special, update area of their website where they're posting all the new legal updates? I'm just so curious because it's such a niche area that you have.
Yeah, no, most of the time it's the community finding out about what has changed, whether it's in their algorithm or in their terms of service before Amazon even announces it. And honestly, Stacy, I've been in the space for about 8-9 years now, and there's a lot of communities and Facebook groups, and just I deal with clients in the space all the time. So I get my news from them and all these Facebook groups and communities I'm part of.
In a very official capacity.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really where we get our information from, but it's not like it's Amazon announcing this. We'll usually find out what's going on before they even publicly announce it.
That's crazy. It's really crazy. And yet, for so many business owners, this is a huge part of their business model, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And what we're seeing amongst our larger sellers and larger clients is they're migrating over to Walmart too. I shouldn't say migrating, expanding into Walmart too. So we're also seeing that, and that's something else that we've also tried to do is follow our clients.
Okay.
So yeah, that's maybe something else that your students and the listeners can pay attention to is look at Walmart as the next sort of legal practice area.
That's interesting. So your clients are really, they're trying to diversify the platforms on which they're selling. I think that's smart.
Yeah, because Amazon has had such a real chokehold on
Yeah.
e-commerce, right? So we're seeing that if anyone can compete, we're assuming it's got to be Walmart. They've
Wow.
got the infrastructure in place and the resources.
That's interesting. Well, I don't know anyone like you, Mario, that has the knowledge of what's going on at Amazon like you do. So I thank you so much for spending some time with us and educating us a little bit, at least on the legal ramifications of what's going on in the Amazon world. So thank you so much for joining us today.